Breaking news, friends. Russia is on fire. The whole of Russia is engulfed in flames. A state of emergency has been declared. It's total collapse and mass evacuation.
This is what visibility looks like. You can't even see the cars. We're driving with our hazard lights on. With the headlights on. There's nothing to breathe. We're literally suffocating.
It's already right next to us.
First of all, the airport in Chita is on fire. The Chita airfield is being saved by equipment. The situation is difficult. It's a fire collapse.
Good morning, everyone. We're having a fire collapse here, so to speak. We've already made our first flight. Now we've taxied onto the airfield. There's a fire here, too. Our firefighters are working right on the airfield. They're saving the equipment there because it's very close to the helicopters and other vehicles. The situation here is also difficult. So we're working. The second aircraft is also getting ready to take off. There's a fire being extinguished in the Smolenka area. That's how things are. So we keep working. Take care of yourselves.
A wall of fire near the highway in the Mushkaya region. There's a powerful forest fire raging there.
Oh, it's so scary, really. Look how frightening it is. Unbelievable.
Hellish landscapes greet drivers on the road from Blagoveshchensk, especially near the village of Moskovitnoye. In Moskovitnoye, hundreds of trees are burning, and people are filming what's happening. They are terrified. Russia is terrified. The footage is no less nightmarish than a nightmare itself. Friends, please like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and let's start this blog.
We're waiting for you. We're bringing you to Kucheni Krai, out here in the field. Come visit.
The Zabaykalsky Krai is engulfed in powerful fires, homes have been destroyed, people have been evacuated, and a state of emergency has been declared. The fight against large-scale forest fires continues in Zabaykalsky Krai. A state of emergency has been declared there. According to the Ministry of Emergency Situations, there are currently more than 50 fire outbreaks in the region, covering an area of 380,000 hectares.
The wind is blowing towards the Baykalets. This is where the springs are, where people collect water. On the opposite side, there is a very strong fire.
People were evacuated from areas where the fire came right up to residential buildings. Several thousand people are currently involved in firefighting efforts, including rescuers and about 800 smoke jumpers from other regions. There are 250 units of equipment and aircraft involved. The work is complicated by weather conditions and the proximity of the fire to populated areas. Dacha buildings have been damaged. Dozens of destroyed houses. It is known that dozens of houses have burned down, 30 buildings, and another 50 plots have been affected. In Chita, the administrative center of the Zabaykalsky Krai, the Kadala airport had previously temporarily suspended operations. It was simply surrounded by a forest fire, which disrupted air traffic for dozens of hours. The main cause is cited as careless handling of fire during strong winds. This was reported by the region's Minister of Natural Resources, Pavel Volgin. Local pro-Russian Telegram channels report that the fires may be set intentionally. Pro-Russian forces found neatly stacked dry branches and empty oil canisters in the forest. Today, 3 men were detained in one of Chita's districts. Volunteers noticed that they were driving into the forest toward the fire. The circumstances are currently being investigated. Russians, look at this footage, how Russians are trapped in a fiery cage. In Russia, a cosmodrome and nearby houses could burn to the ground. Oh, how terrifying, really. Look how scary it is. Unbelievable. Right now, massive forest fires are raging in the Amur region. A fire also broke out near a gas boiler house. It's almost impossible to get out of the city because of the burning trees along the roads. This natural disaster is simply taking revenge on Russia for all the atrocities it has committed against Ukraine and other countries. The total area of the fires has exceeded 3,000 hectares. It is noted that the city, with a population of just over 7,000 people, is home to employees of the Vostochny Cosmodrome. The Cosmodrome itself is located 25 kilometers from the city. A state of emergency has been declared in Buryatia due to forest fires. Currently, according to the regional government, there are 30 active fires in the republic, covering an area of more than 53,000 hectares. If there aren't large-scale fires in Russia, then it's not really Russia. This time, Baikal was affected. According to the Russian Ministry of Emergency Situations, the fires there have covered an area of more than 576,000 hectares. Spring fires in the Amur region have reached the town of Tsiolkovsky, and right now they are threatening 15 new apartment buildings. At least 2,000 residents live there, who are leaving their homes on their own. There is no mass evacuation. Once again, friends, an evacuation has still not been announced in the city. Tsiolkovsky is located 15 kilometers from the Vostochny Cosmodrome. About 6,000 people live there, many of whom are employees of the station. Smoke is enveloping the city, people have nothing to breathe, and strong winds continue to fan the flames and hinder firefighting efforts. The fire has reached right up to residential buildings. Outbuildings and garages across the road from the new developments are already burning. The total area of the fire in the district is over 3,000 hectares.
It's really close by. It's just past the mill. Where the animal farm is, the forester, that whole area. 4 fire trucks went in there, and now 2 more have just arrived.
Even if you drop me off in a field, at least I'll be alive rather than flying and burning alive. Passengers from the Aeroflot Bangkok-Moscow flight first went through an emergency landing in New Delhi due to problems with the fuel tank, and then found out that just a few minutes after landing, the Indian airport came under fire. Please don't panic, everyone will be let off soon. Where are you going to go, out into the field or what? Even if it's into a field, at least I'll be alive, rather than flying and burning alive. Do you understand?
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats and let the technical staff through.
What I really need right now, more than anything else, is simply to have what I require in this moment.
The source, that's all there is to it. But where exactly is this calcium coming from, specifically? Let's have a drink. If you don't mind, I'll check your blood pressure just to make sure everything is okay. Is this normal? This is terrible. What is this? She was valued for her bags, then suffered. Now I'm heavy too. Is it over? No, there's still a war. War! Is the person in the hospital or what?
I'm sorry, could you please repeat that? What did you just say? Which one? Which one? All the airports in Russia are shut down. All the planes in Russia are being sent back. All flights have unfortunately been canceled. Now the question is, who will be able to get you back home safely and quickly?
The plane entered Russia, but the 9-hour flight had to be interrupted. 4 hours after takeoff, a strong smell of burning plastic appeared in the cabin. The crew was unable to quickly identify the source of the smell. One of the flight attendants came into the cabin with a fire extinguisher. Panic broke out in the cabin. One of the passengers, overwhelmed with emotion, asked for the plane to be landed as soon as possible, even if it was just in a field, anywhere at all. Other passengers tried to remain calm, but it was clear they were struggling to do so. The pilots decided to land the plane at the nearest airport. The aircraft was received in New Delhi. Before landing, the captain dumped fuel. After the plane landed safely, it was inspected by staff at the Indian airport who discovered that in row 27, there had been a short circuit in the multimedia system. But the passengers' misfortunes did not end after this. Immediately after landing, India closed its airspace due to shelling from Pakistan. Alhamdulillah, indeed. The plane that was supposed to pick up the passengers was unable to reach Delhi due to closed airspace. The racists were able to return home only 2 days later. Their plane finally landed in Moscow. The joys of life in a superpower. In Surgut, a child almost drowned in mud. The boy was stuck knee-deep in Putin's prosperity and couldn't get out on his own. According to local residents, a swamp forms in this spot, and the authorities aren't planning to do anything about it. And Gladkov accused the residents of profiting from the shelling. The governor of the Belgorod region stated that some residents of border areas deliberately put their property in harm's way during shelling in order to receive compensation. There she is, the racist motherland.
Planted the car in a beer barrel that they had found somewhere hidden in the bushes, hoping to make it look as though the vehicle had been damaged by shelling. Their plan was to pass it off as a car that had been destroyed in an attack, so they could claim it was a total loss and receive compensation for the supposed damage.
Let's roll the car out of the garage. Maybe it'll get shelled. At least we'll get some money, Gladkov recounted, supposedly quoting a conversation he overheard. To
My regret. I've personally heard some of my relatives talking about this, especially when... Let's take it out since our settlement is being shelled. Let's roll the car out of the garage. Maybe it'll get hit. At least, if that happens, we'll get some money. The car is old, you can't get rid of it, can't sell it. So, I have just one request, yes, through indirect means, to emphasize and insist that people put their personal vehicles in garages. We understand there are strikes, direct hits, there's nothing you can do about that. But we also see on social media, let's demand. Otherwise the war will end and we'll still be living in old houses. Not just 1, 2, or 3 settlements where we see a separate group starting to form. In fact, in several different settlements, we are noticing that a distinct group of residents is beginning to organize themselves. These particular individuals are stepping forward, attempting to take on leadership roles within their communities, and actively seeking out assistance from the government to address their needs and concerns. In reality, they have no ground.
Gladkov instructed law enforcement to check whether people are keeping their cars in garages. Obviously, the police and military in the border areas simply have nothing better to do, my friends. What irritates the governor even more are the people who, under the pretext of shelling, want to move into new housing at the government's expense. It doesn't even occur to the officials that people simply wouldn't need any help from the government at all, if it weren't for Putin's madness bringing the war to the Belgorod region. And now the underage Kadyrov Jr. has a new medal in his collection, but there's a catch. The possible heir to the Chechen throne has already received more awards than the number of years he has lived. This one is dedicated to the 25th anniversary of the Akhmat Grozny Omon. Since everyone is already used to Adam Kadyrov being awarded something every week, no one would have paid any attention to this medal, friends, if it weren't for the fact that in the video of the award ceremony, the crosses on the Russian coat of arms were for some reason erased. In fact, there is an article in Russian law about desecration of state symbols. And what's more, law enforcement uses this article only against opposition figures. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and write in the comments what you think. Now let's look at an analysis of Russian propaganda.
And if he really does give out Tamagotchis, honestly, I can't quite imagine how that's going to look. Yes, that's when it will bring closer what is called nuclear
war. Then that's good. But we're going straight to heaven. They will simply die.
Well, we could have jumped a little more. Patriarch Hassan.
Those who want to suffer. Patriarch Hassan, you can suffer. Former ambassadors say. What difference does it make to us what Putin says, what Lavrov says? And what difference does it make to us what the Americans say? We will sell to whomever we want. What difference does it make to us? Now countries will start acting with the attitude of what difference does it make to us? And how many days will it take before humanity disappears? They just need to understand that transferring tomahawks is already beyond the Cuban Missile Crisis. Yes, and when they now try, through their little articles, to say, well, all right, just stop it. What difference does it make? None at all. We'll just hit them, and that'll be the end of it. By the way, if Britain gets washed away, I think all of humanity will applaud. They'll say, my God, how wonderful. That's the truth, actually. You'll say, how wonderful. But convincing yourself that Magaf doesn't play any role, that there are few of them, that they won't give it to them. There has never been a time when they threw something into the public space, and then it didn't end up on Ukrainian territory.
We have never waged wars of conquest. We have always defended ourselves from those who tried to steal something from us. And that's probably why the attitude is so different, such a very different attitude. For them, it's a business connected to making money, gaining influence, strengthening their own system. But for us, it's always about survival. For us, it's always national, about security in its most elevated form. I think Trudeau once said, commenting on the fact that right next to Canada are the giant United States, I don't remember exactly how he put it, but when you have an elephant sleeping next to you, if it turns over just a little, it can crush you, and it won't even realize that it has crushed you.
Want these Nazi tendencies to become more noticeable and apparent in your thoughts and actions, allowing them to have a greater influence over the way Ukrainian armed forces act even more brutally, even more ruthlessly than Hitler's killing. Look at the horrific atrocities they commit in the territories, and you want even the thought of this to be present at negotiations for a set. Some territories should still. How exactly? With people, with Russians, or without people, just with rare earth?
We don't care how many missiles they plan to send. If they destroy our vital decision-making centers, the hand of death is then automatically and immediately triggered.
Yes, the perimeter system. Why am I saying this? Because with Russia, it's clear how do we counter this? It's clear that here we need to create a completely different kind of response, but even the launch of a single AGVK at our country's territory would allow them to gauge our reaction to certain actions.
Dmitry Anatolyevich made it clear. This is the beginning of a nuclear war, and accordingly, we would have to strike first at the storage sites and locations of the launchers carrying nuclear warheads. And at the same time, make a decision at the center so we don't have to get up twice, Stalin straight, and while we're at it, wash away that incomprehensible little British spit to hell.
By the way, returning to Britain and our response, the President rather unambiguously hinted that we are moving on to testing those devices we talked about, and most likely this refers to the final stage of Poseidon. We'll see. And for the British, it's either more difficult or it's the Burevestnik missiles, something strategic.
The main thing? To test it at the right testing ground. Last time there was a very good testing ground. Yuzhmash, right? They tested Oreshnik at Yuzhmash. That was a very correct decision. Here you could use the British Isles if you go by the same logic. But with Europe, everything is more complicated. Europe? Let's be honest, everything is heading toward war. Let's not delude ourselves. When it comes to tomahawks, they'll certainly be given absolutely everything. They'll be given everything. Moreover, I'm sure that when the need arises, they'll even be given tactical nuclear weapons. Because what's happening now already feels like when you realize you have no strength left and you just throw off your gloves, grab bottles, smash them, and that's it. Forget about a fair fight. It's turning into a dirty brawl. At the same time, they're sure that we'll always be a couple of steps behind. And they're not even embarrassed about it anymore. Just think about it. Now some security and defense expert, Professor Michael Clark, openly says, yes, it's us who are fighting. It's our special forces, our specialists. They've even stopped being embarrassed about it.
As of today, we're at war with the entire so-called West. At war. We're not fighting Ukraine in Ukraine. Even Trump said, if it weren't for us, this war would have ended in 3 days. Isn't that true? He said it himself. So we're fighting them, all of them, and we're winning. Can you imagine that? Could you have imagined that before Putin? No, you couldn't have. That's why, for a person of Russian culture, Russian history, living in Russia, supporting Putin is a matter of pride. They think they're insulting me by saying that. No, they're not insulting me at all. The world will no longer be unipolar. That's it. The hegemony is over. And who ended it? It was ended by Putin, Vladimir Vladimirovich. That's exactly why we are proud to be his trusted representatives, or as you said, Putinists. To sit down, talk, and come to an agreement, that's it. And to put an end to all of this. No one likes that people are dying. I don't like it. You know, I'm sure that Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin doesn't like at all that people are dying either. And if people hadn't been dying, if they hadn't started destroying our people in 2014, this war that's happening now wouldn't have started. Do you understand? It wouldn't have started from the very beginning. We really hope that negotiations will actually take place and that people will stop dying. No one likes it when blood is being shed. We're not sadists after all.
If you ever wondered what to give a priest as a gift, there is, of course, an answer. A yacht, a Mercedes, or an apartment in the center of Moscow. Well, and otherwise, as much as you can afford. A little reminder, there's a grain of truth in every joke. Everything else is true.
What can you give a priest as a gift?
The classics, a yacht, a Mercedes, and an apartment on Tverskaya. After that, you can...
Then as much as you can.
Yes. Just scale it down according to your means. I gave you a benchmark.
Any
athlete should know the Olympic standards. Even a school kid. I don't know, like a school kid should run 100 meters in 10 seconds. 10 minutes is perfectly fine.
People are curious, for example. A priest is performing a sacrament, a baptism, or something else. And the question is, how do you thank the priest? He says it's an awkward situation at that moment. On the one hand, half the people curse us for having set fees in churches.
And the other half curse us because there aren't any available guidelines, since it's unclear or ambiguous how much you should actually give in this situation. And
they quote, asking how to thank the priest without offending him.
It always amuses me, and I smile inwardly whenever someone gives an uneven amount. Only then is it clear that, let's say, hypothetically, so 100 rubles is too little, and 200 is too much. So here, take 150, right? You can tell the person was bargaining with themselves inside. It's always obvious when the amount isn't round.
I just really want this to get into the head of every foreigner. We will win. And notice, during this press conference, statement, Putin said that this is a war.
I noticed that too. It was the first time he called it a war.
So that it doesn't spread across Ukraine, so that all sorts of scum don't read it, a video started circulating online showing women destroying racist classics. According to them, they managed to destroy 3 bags of racist books. There are 2 more in progress. They all plan to send it to waste paper. Well,
episode number 2, what do we have here? Lermontov, Smith, Dostoevsky. What did it write here? Crime and punishment? Crime and punishment. We carry waste paper. Here are the bags. Chekhov. The kind that raised terrorists who will later gouge out our journalists' eyes and cut their tracheas.
Tatiana.
Pushkin. Alexander Harmatny, as we call him. Smith, you bastard. All of this is Smith. Pushkin. Chekhov. How could we do without Chekhov? Well, where is it? Let's blow up these books. Let's not waste the world's precious time so that this bastard This little bitch doesn't spread it to the world, so it doesn't spread across our Ukraine, so that all sorts of scum don't read them. There are no Chekhovs here. And what's Chekhov doing here? Okay, we already have 3 things, now 2 more. Never got around to it, now we come. Farewell, Russia, farewell, Parasha. Nobody needs it. It's junk. And even if you burn it, it won't burn, but it's better to hand it in for scrap, let it go to the furnace. Small pile.
Friends, please like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You've made it, and in the comments, write a few kind words in support of Ukraine. Glory to Ukraine. Glory to the heroes. We will definitely win.